Hi. I want to talk for a few minutes about one specific characteristic of Yahweh, the God of the Bible, and that is his view on killing. In Exodus 20:13 and James 2:11, Yahweh condemns killing. Yet we see killing with his approval throughout the Old Testament. And he himself sometimes kills people. In Genesis 6, he says he will destroy man from the face of the earth because he repents that he made man. He says, I'm sorry that I have made them. Now, elsewhere, he said that he's not a man, that he should repent, but he repents in this instance. And so he kills almost everybody. Men, women, babies in the womb. He just kills them all, except 8 people. And then he also instructs his favorite people to kill others. He's like, go into their lands, kill the Hivites, Jebusites, Canaanites, Amorites. Just kill them all. Show no mercy on them. Just slay them. And in Exodus 32, he even has them kill their own people. They made him upset. So he tells them to go up and down with swords, just slaying their brothers, their companions, their neighbors. In Numbers 31, he tells them to kill all the men, all the women who've had sex, and to save the girls who haven't had sex, and for themselves. Even the babies are killed here. Now think about what these men did, or what they might have done, to determine which girls were actually virgins. Can you imagine men so wicked that they would plunge their sword into a girl's mother, father, grandparents, baby brothers, and all their brothers, and then say, come and let me see if you're good enough for me to rape? These are the good people. These are the good people. And yes, this was rape. No girl in her right mind is going to want a man who just murdered all of her family. And before we think that Yahweh wouldn't recommend rape, Lot, who was righteous, had a righteous soul, he offered his daughters to men to rape so that they wouldn't hurt angels, as if angels couldn't take care of themselves. But Lot thought that taking care of these angels was more important than taking care of his own daughters. Now these virgins, Yahweh was given 32 of them. Now, we don't know what he did with them. We don't know if they were like burnt offerings to Yahweh, or if the priests got to rape them, or if they were compelled into service to Yahweh, like in the temple. But whatever it was, this is people being forced into service to Yahweh. Now, if Muslims compelled 32 virgins into service to Allah, Christians would scream about how vile that was. But here are people giving 32 virgins to Allah, because it's the same God, Allah, Yahweh, whatever you want to call him. Now, I know some would balk at the idea of these virgins being sacrificed to Yahweh, but because Christians say that the Bible doesn't want human sacrifice, and I don't know how they say that, considering that their own salvation depends on a human sacrifice. I mean, Jesus was the ultimate human sacrifice. But we also know that Yahweh wanted babies and adults killed in obedience to him. Isn't that a sacrifice of a life in an attempt to please Yahweh? And I think it is, and I think it fits with the idea of giving your bodies as a human sacrifice to Yahweh. Whatever you do in obedience to Yahweh, that is your reasonable sacrifice that you're given to him, your reasonable service. So yes, they were sacrificing humans to Yahweh no matter how you look at it. But we have several examples of murdering for Yahweh. Some scriptures say that, well, what we have in the Bible, that Abraham was prevented from sacrificing Isaac when Yahweh tempted him to do this. But there are manuscripts of the Old Testament that are derived from Israel's E document, the Elohist material. And the original documents say that no ram was offered in Isaac's place. Isaac was actually sacrificed. He doesn't come down from the mountain, and he disappears from the text at that point. Now, the truth of the matter is, Yahweh not only accepted human sacrifice, but he required it. And I'm not just talking about Jesus. Leviticus 27, 28, and 29 says that anything devoted to Yahweh, whether man or beast, was not to be redeemed and was to be put to death. Also, the whole city of Jericho was sacrificed to Yahweh. Joshua 6:17 says, and the town will be put to the curse, and everything in it will be given to the Lord. Verse 21 says, and they put everything in the town to the curse, men and women, young and old, ox and sheep and ass, they put to death without mercy. And the passage said that it was given to the Lord, because if the Lord tells you to do something and you do it, that's a sacrifice to him. That's something you've given him. So they murdered for him. They sacrificed humans for him. So if those 32 virgins were sacrificed, by fire to him, that's nothing to be concerned about. That's just normal everyday stuff in the Bible. And not only that, but are Christians not told to be faithful unto death? So if it comes to denying Yahweh or dying, you die. You sacrifice yourself for Yahweh. And those babies, they certainly hadn't sinned. The babies that were killed in all this killing, they hadn't sinned, so that has to be a sacrifice. There's no way that they deserve to die. And we see about babies again, 1 Samuel 15:3. Now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. Infants and sucklings. And yes, there were babies in the womb at that time too. Is there ever a time when it's okay to kill innocent little babies? According to Yahweh, yes. When he tells you to slice and dice them, you do it with joy because you're following his commands. And his commands are good, right? Sometimes Yahweh does killing himself. He hardened Pharaoh's heart so that then he could go kill all these babies and grown people. Whoever was the firstborn got killed. And that was okay with Yahweh. Now, some people will probably say that even though an act may be heinous, if Yahweh tells you to do it, it's okay. But Yahweh's supposed to be the standard of morality. Does he get to not obey his own rules and just say, do as I say, not as I do? Why would you want to worship a God that has such a low moral standard for himself? I know some people will say, thou shalt not kill. In the Ten Commandments, it's not the same word as the other, killing. Well, okay, fine. But it's still killing, still slaughtering, and still murder. We have synonyms in English too, so I don't think that makes much difference. The command was not to kill, and then the command is to kill. And anyway, people may say, well, if there's a good cause, you kill them. Well, what's a good cause? What's a good killing cause? Because you want to steal their land? Because that's generally why you always send them into battle. Yahweh had the whole world, the whole earth, that he could have given to these special people of his. Why, like when he had them wandering in the wilderness for 40 years, Why not, instead of letting them wander there and then having to kill all these people to take their land, why not take them out for 40 years and wander across the earth and find even better land? Well, I know that the writers didn't know there was better land out there. And so therefore Yahweh didn't know there was better land. But I'm saying if this were true, then why wouldn't he have done that? He could have made them wander and just find better land. Now back to those babies. Some say the babies were better off because they went straight to heaven. You mean like what happens when women have abortions? And what about the young virgins? Why weren't they taken straight to heaven instead of having to be raped? You know, there is no justification for this stuff. I mean, you can say Yahweh can break his own rules. He doesn't have to follow laws. You can say the end, whatever the end is supposed to be, justifies the means. And if you can do that with a clear conscience, you do it. But I can't. And I won't. Bye.